Every day, more and more people are making movies. Filmmaking has become the new garage band. I'm Gianni DiLoretto, and this is Framelines, the series that aims the lens on those who are out there making movies. Some are backyard Kubricks, making movies for fun, and others are aspiring Spielbergs, professionals working hard to make it in the industry. Framelines is happy to present a special presentation of the best of our tech tips, so stay tuned for some filmmaking hints and tricks.
I have a metaphor for making a movie. Making a movie is like building a house. It doesn't matter if it's 30 seconds or 4 hours long or anything in between. There are 3 phases to making any movie. Pre-production, which is your script or story or idea, production, which is the shoot, and post-production, where it all comes together. The house metaphor works like this. Your script or story or idea is the blueprint. Where most people make a mistake is thinking because there's so much involved and so many people that production is at least partially construction. Nope. The shoot is nothing but the collection of raw materials. The edit and post-production is construction. What happens when you have bad blueprints and try to build a house? It falls apart. You could have the perfect plans, but crappy materials mean your house will fall down. Using this metaphor, if your script or story idea isn't right, no matter what you do on the shoot, you can't make a good movie. You can have the best materials in the world, as in the best actors, best performances, the greatest camera work, but if the blueprint sucked, you're not going to build a good movie. Similarly, you could have the best story ever written, but without good camera work and even better performances, you can't put it all together in post and suddenly make it good. Finally, the third scenario means that with the greatest foundations and even better raw materials, without a good editor and post-production team putting it all together, your movie could still fall apart. People often wonder, which phase is the most important part of making a film? They are all equally important. No aspect, no detail, and no job on a movie is insignificant. They all contribute to the whole.
We're going to talk about gels. Gels are heat-resistant sheets of plastic, usually with color in them or sometimes just diffusion in them. There are 2 types of gels. There are gels and diffusion. First, we're going to talk about gels, and it's the first classification I like to talk about are color correction. I have in my hand color temperature blue, CTB. And why would you use this? Let's say you're doing a shot where you have a big picture window and the main source in your scene is sunlight coming through the window. And all your lights, you need to add some fill, and all your lights are tungsten lights. Well, you'll need to toss a blue gel on them to make them match the daylight. Otherwise, you'll have one side of the face will be all blue and the other side orangish. So this way you have a nice, even color temperature. Now let's move on to color temperature orange, CTO. And this is, again, going to color your lights kind of warmish. Why would you use this? Well, let's say you've got, again, another situation where you have some daylight streaming in, but the window is very small and the rest of your scene is lit by tungsten light. Well, you toss a gel like this on a window, it'll convert the daylight to tungsten and all your color balances match. Now you can use these color temperature gels for effects too. Let's say you've got a tungsten light, you put an orange gel on it, it'll really warm it up for a sunlight effect, like a sunrise or a sunset on somebody's face. You get your blue gel out and put it on your lights and maybe double it up to create a really blue effect, and it makes them really cool and it looks like a moonlight effect. You underexpose a little bit and you have day for night. The next classification of gels I like to call party gels, and this is color for color's sake. You may want to put that on a scene where somebody's sick or some accent, or a red gel like we have on the background here for an accent. But if it's like a horror film, you can really, make the monster look scarier or create a sense of danger. Party gels are a lot of fun. Usually I don't use them in dramas because they overpower, but in a horror film you can have a lot of fun with party gels. The next classification we have is diffusion. And what these are, again, are kind of gels, except they don't have any color in them. And you put these in front of your lights to soften the sources. In this hand I have Opal, which is a soft diffusion. It doesn't cut it as much. And this is 216, which really cuts the light down. In general, when you have lights, your tungsten lights, you don't want to point a naked light at people, because in general, most of your time, your lights in real life are kind of soft source. You don't have really hard lights unless it's a flashlight or a headlight. So you'll toss a hunk of diffusion on the light to soften up. How do you attach a gel to a light? Well, basically just put the gel in front of the light, get a C47 media attachment clip, otherwise known as a clothespin, attach it to your light like this. And we're just putting a little diffusion on this light, which is probably what you're going to do a lot of the time. Don't use plastic C47s, they'll melt. Another gel you're going to use is called an ND, or neutral density filter. And this basically just cuts the output of the light. Why would you need this gel? Let's say you're shooting in a very small room and you need to use lights, but they're too bright for your subject. You can't get them back any further. Toss in a neutral density filter, it'll cut the intensity of the light and you can still use it. Where do you get these gels? Well, you can go to a theatrical supply store in your town or find an online source like Film Tools and order the gels. They can come in sheets like this at about $6 a pop. You can get them in rolls, but that's hundreds of dollars. Unless you're like gelling a ton of windows, you're probably not going to get a roll of gel. You can also buy little packets with different variety of gels. Some's the color correction, which will have CTO and CTB. There's a variety pack, which I recommend for beginners, which has some color correction, some diffusion, and maybe a party gel or two. A handy thing to get from one of these theatrical supply stores is a filter swatch book. And you can look at all the gels in this and say, oh, let's go with this, or let's go with that. So it gives you a lot of variety and really nail down your gel choices. I hope you found this tip helpful, and I hope it helps you make better looking movies.
Movies start with the script. There's a very specific format for screenplays. You start with where the scene takes place, a description for the scene, then write the character name, and finally dialogue. A lot of screenplays read more like a book, and if they do, it might sound something like this.
Interior apartment day. This is Charlie's home. He's a guy in his mid-30s who graduated top of his class, lost his job, and misses his girlfriend.
Well, that's great for a novel. Making a movie is like building a house. The script is a blueprint. Blueprints are not colorful paintings or artwork. Blueprints are the foundation for all the people involved in getting materials and the construction. If we use the blueprint metaphor, the script has to tell everyone what they need, so the screenplay really should be telling the entire crew what they have to shoot. If we look at that short script from before, how do we shoot that? There are a million ways, so the screenplay should tell us more specifically what will be shown. Let's try again.
Interior Charlie's apartment day. Charlie, mid-30s and unshaven, sits on a couch. The TV flickers on his face. Several empty bottles are on the table in front of him. He pours himself a stiff drink. Close-up of a diploma on the wall. Charlie picks up a picture. It's of his ex-girlfriend and he stares at it. He lays it back down on the table.
See the difference? Now we've told the cinematographer and the entire crew what they are going to shoot. The costume and makeup departments what they need, and even props and set decorators to prepare a photograph and some of the set design. And that's not even stating the difference in giving the actors their own interpretation of what is written. So keep in mind that there are significant differences between writing a screenplay like a book and writing one for shooting.
There are many names rolling in the end credits of any movie, big or small. Next to their name is their job title, but not everyone knows what these jobs mean. This series will attempt to explain and demonstrate what these people do. The script supervisor is also known as the continuity person, and during the golden age of Hollywood, they used the term script girl since it was considered a woman's job back then. The script supervisor makes all the notes while the recording is in progress and between takes. A script supervisor can keep track of all the cameras and write down what is seen by each camera. A script supervisor watches the monitor, usually with the director, and takes notes on everything in the shots as they appear and sound. Notes are written as to which takes the director likes and possible continuity errors, such as mismatched hand gestures, misplacement of props in a scene, or simple things like how much liquid is left in a glass, or any changes to lines in a scene. The script supervisor makes all the notes while the recording is in progress and between takes. A script supervisor can keep track of all the cameras and write down what is seen by each camera. Straight or squiggly lines on the dialogue of the script indicate whether or not the actors are visible or not seen in the shot. All information must match from the slate, so everything from the shoot translates correctly for post-production and editing. And that is what a script supervisor does.
Scott Spears gives us a few camera tips in this next segment.
Depth of field is something all filmmakers should be aware of. It's the area of your shot that's going to be in focus, and it's affected by several choices: your lenses, your lighting, and your blocking. First, what is depth of field? It is the area in your shot that is in focus. Now, technically, there's only one true area of focus in the shot. It's like, my plane of my eyes. But because our eyes and lenses can perceive certain ranges of focus, it can range from 3 feet in front of me to 6 feet behind me. Depth of field is broken into thirds. So if you have 9 feet in your depth of field, it'll be 3 feet in front of the subject, like in front of me, and 6 feet behind. So you could put an actor over my shoulder, they'll be in focus. But if they're clear at the wall back there, they're not going to be in focus. What are some of the factors that affect depth of field? Lens choice, or the focal length of your lens, is going to affect depth of field greatly. A long lens, a telephoto lens, will have less depth of field than a wide angle lens, like the one we're using now. And that's because of the wider angle of view. Here we have a shot of our subject with a wide angle lens, and you'll see that the objects in the foreground and background, including the subject, are in focus. When we zoom in or switch to a longer focal length lens or telephoto lens, we'll see that the foreground and background elements are out of focus. This is showing your depth of field as being limited. All lenses have an aperture, which can open and close to get a proper exposure for your image. And it's kind of a backwards world where the smaller the number, the bigger the opening, and the larger the number, the smaller the opening. It's really an inverse thing. It's 16/1 or 2/1. So how does this affect depth of field? Well, when you're wide open, it's a big hole and means the light is scattered and it's harder to focus it down on your film plane or sensor. Where if you make the hole smaller, the light is more focused on the sensor and there it can focus a lot easier and give you more depth of field. Another factor is light level, and pure and simple, this means the more light you have, the bigger depth of field you'll have. If you're lighting in low light levels, you're going to have less depth of field because, again, you're going to have to open up the aperture of the camera and your depth of field will plummet. So that's the reason if you want less depth of field, you drop the light level. And you can do this by taking lights away or adding an ND filter to your camera, which is a neutral density filter, which lessens the light reaching your image. The final factor is the size of your imaging sensor or film gate. The bigger the sensor or gate, the harder it is to, again, focus the light down. So you're going to have less depth of field. And that's the reason people today are going with these larger sensor cameras like DSLRs, is that it matches a 35mm film frame and your depth of field is less. Where if you're shooting a smaller handheld camera or like your phone, the sensor could be as big as your pinky or smaller. And the smaller that is, the easier it is to focus the light down, and ergo you have more depth of field. When we talk deep focus, that means everything in the shot is in focus. And when we talk shallow focus, that means only a select area is in focus. And the reason you want to go with shallow focus is you want the audience to focus on that specific element. And if you want deep focus, then you want to show the grandeur of your shot. Depth of field is an incredibly powerful tool in filmmaking to make the audience focus on what you want them to see. So use it to tell the stories you want to tell.
Creating storyboards becomes more important as your productions get larger and larger. Storyboards are a way of showing your intentions more clearly to the entire crew. These are a way of clearly communicating to cast, the camera and lighting departments, and even hair and makeup or wardrobe and props as to what is needed in each shot. How much is seen inside a frame can even determine how much time is needed for scheduling. Even rough thumbnail storyboards with stick figures can help get an idea across to people. Or you can do more detailed storyboards with even more information in the frame. Going one step further, you can animate the storyboards in the computer to create animatics that show camera movement and timing for the scenes so you can demonstrate pacing. Storyboards are sometimes drawn outside the frame so you can allow more movement of the camera or even allow more options when shooting. Sometimes storyboards are just rough ideas, and sometimes they can be exactly what winds up on screen.
Coming up next, Framelines brings you another awesome filmmaking tip.
Why do you slate? Well, in the old days, you had a separate camera and a separate sound recorder, so it really helped in syncing. Well, a lot of people nowadays are shooting with DSLRs, so you use a separate sound recorder. So the sound of a little clap helps in syncing. The other reason is for record keeping, because those numbers tell the editor this shot belongs to this scene. So scene 1, take 1, that shot belongs to scene 1 or scene 20, etc. How much do slates cost? This slate costs around 40 or 50 bucks. You can find slates for $20 to $50. There's also a smaller slate called an insert slate that doesn't have the clapper, and those are $8 to $10. The big thing is never use a Sharpie on your slate. It will put a permanent mark on it and ruin it. What is the proper way to slate? A lot of people, the first time they go out, they really just hammer it down there. You don't need to hit it that hard. Just let gravity go, boom, because the mic is right off frame. What's the proper time to slate? Well, usually on the set, the procedure is the sound operator rolls. He says he has speed. Then the person will read the slate. This is scene 1, take 1. Camera operator will roll and say speed, and then you say marker, and then slap it. And the reason you do that, say marker, is because in syncing, it really helps the editor. He goes, the next sound he's going to hear is the sound of the slate being slapped. The other thing you're going to need to know is where to put the slate. If it's a big close-up of somebody, you'll just probably put it right in front of their face. But if it's a big wide shot, you'll want to take the slate in closer to the camera so the editor can later read the numbers and help them in editing. If it's way back here, the guy in the edit room won't be able to read those numbers and can't sync. Talk to the camera operator about the placement on that. What do you write on the slate? Well, the first thing you want to do is put the title of the production. That way, if the footage, your tape gets lost, your footage gets misplaced, they'll see that and go, oh, that belongs to that production. Then, who the camera op is, who the director is, the date, and is it day, night, is it MOS? Let's talk about the numbering of the slate. You'll want to put the roll number, which is really the tape number, the scene number, and the take number. Your first slate is going to be something like scene 1, take 1. Or if you're starting on scene 20 of your movie, it'll be scene 20, take 1. And as you go through the scene, you're going to add a letter to that. It's going to be 1 apple, then 1 baker, 1 Charlie, and you'll work your way through the alphabet. If you run out of letters, i.e. you get to Z, then you go back to A and you say 1 apple apple, 1 apple baker, so on and so forth. There are certain letters you don't want to use, and it'll be pretty obvious once I show you these examples. You don't want to use the letter I because it'll turn scene 1 into scene 11. Don't use the letter O because suddenly it turns scene 1 into scene 10. Don't use S because it looks like a 5 and it'll turn scene 1 into a scene 15. It just makes things confusing. So just skip those letters in the alphabet. Let's talk about MOS slating. Sometimes you're not going to use the clapper. You're just using the slate for the numbers, and that's when you're shooting without sound. You use an MOS slate when you're not rolling sound because sometimes you want to speed through a scene and you say, we don't need sound for this, we'll just add it later. So how do you do that? Well, you just hold the slate up and then hold the clappers together so they can't be clapped. Another way to do that is just put your hand in there, and that shows the editor that this is not a sound scene. So they don't have that fine sound to sync with it. Another thing that may happen is you may have to do a slate at the end of the shot, called a tail slate, because it's physically impossible to get the slate person at the head of the shot. So you're gonna have to tail slate. So that what you do is you go in at the end of the take and say, this is scene 1, take 1. Hold it upside down, say marker, clap it. That says that this slate belongs to the previous footage. And also occasionally when you're shooting shots without sound, you'll forget, oh, I forgot to slate it. Just hold up a slate upside down, and that'll tell the editor this slate belongs to the previous shot. So that kind of wraps up talking about slating. My big pet peeve is if you're running slate on the set, have it ready to go. Don't make everybody stand around while you're frantically writing numbers and letters on a slate.
Organization in production is incredibly important. Because filmmaking is a collaborative art, everybody has to communicate with each other. There are 3 phases to making any movie. Pre-production, which is the writing and preparation for the shoot, creating shot lists and storyboards. Production, which is the shoot. And post-production, where it all comes together in editing and everything involved in that. From the script, you can create the shot list. This is just writing down on paper what angles you want to get. You can do storyboards too. For each scene, you'll want to write out the shot name, then what type of shot you want to get. When you get to production, you can use that shot list and/or your storyboards, and those will be used on the slate marker. After the shoot, when it comes to editing, the assistant editor will name the computer files the same as to what was on the slate. When you record sound separate from picture, it's important to say the slate information out loud.
Or Baker, take 3, marker.
So that you can name the files consistently and synchronize everything more easily. So if the editor or producer or director want to correlate anything from their script to match the shoot in editing, then everything can be found easily.
The production assistant, aka set production assistant, PA, or gopher. This is a person responsible for various odd jobs on set, which could include such disparate tasks as running errands, stopping traffic, acting as couriers, fetching items from craft service, etc. Tasks and levels of responsibility can vary greatly, depending on the size of the movie, the needs of the crew, and the skills of the individual PAs themselves. Production assistants are often assigned to individual departments.
When you're on set working with lights, and let's say you're getting ready to turn the light on, it's customary to yell out, "Striking." Why do you do this? The first reason is courtesy. It lets people know that a really bright light is about to be turned on, and they can turn away so they won't be blinded. Another reason is for safety. Although it's very rare, I've only seen it twice in 25 years, a bulb in a tungsten lamp can explode if it's mishandled or damaged, so people can get clear of the light before you turn it on. The final reason is to let the director of photography know that there's a new light being introduced to the lighting scheme. With a few lights running, it's probably not an issue, but if you have lots of lights for your scene, it will help the cinematographer spot this new source among the other lights. I've done setups with over 40 lights, and if somebody just fired up a light when I was fiddling with the lens, I might not catch the change to the lighting setup until later. This way I look up and see the light come on, and I can have it adjusted to what I think will help out the scene.
Continuity in editing is essential. One of the most effective techniques for invisible editing is cutting on motion, like this. Here we have 2 separate shots, a wide shot and a close-up of the same motion. The key is finding frames of motion that match, then cutting at that point. Making a cut from the wide shot to the close-up while the movement is in the same place, and we have a seamless edit. The viewer's eyes are naturally drawn to movement. Continuity of actors' posture, gestures, and movements are crucial to making this work. Whether it's a hand gesture, the way their head turns, anything in the frame that's moving tends to draw the viewer's eye to that part of the frame. Viewers are seeing the movement and aren't noticing the change in shot. And because we have two different shots, the wide shot is showing us more of the environment, and a close-up lets us know how the actor is feeling. It's much more effective storytelling.
The art department is the section of a production's crew concerned with visual artistry. Working under the supervision of the production designer and/or art director, the art department is responsible for arranging the overall look of the film, i.e. modern, high-tech, rustic, futuristic, etc., as desired by the director. Individual positions within this department include production designer, production buyer, special effects supervisor, draftsman, art director, assistant art director, set decorator, set dresser, property master, lead man, swing gang, and property assistant.
If you'd like more information on the filmmakers or to purchase a DVD of tonight's program, please visit www.framelines.tv, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Framelines is ready to wrap up this episode. We hope you'll come back next time for another look into the world of indie filmmaking.